He was a street dog from Caracas. No training, no certification, no collar with a badge that said he was supposed to be there. Just a mixed-breed dog that a fruit seller had pulled off the street and loved, and a woman who saw a WhatsApp message and thought, maybe. When the earthquake hit Venezuela on June 24th, the ground moved like a wave. 2 earthquakes, measuring 7.2 and 7.5, struck 39 seconds apart, the strongest recorded in Venezuela since 1900. Buildings came down. Entire neighborhoods became rubble. And somewhere in that rubble, people were still alive. Coromoto was standing at her stall in the La Candelaria neighborhood when it happened. She felt the pavement ripple beneath her feet. She watched people pour out of buildings into the street. She made it through. But in the days that followed, as the death toll climbed past 2,000 and rescuers from 30 countries arrived with dogs, 137 trained search and rescue dogs, Belgian Malinois and Border Collies, and animals that had spent years earning their credentials, Coromoto kept thinking about Milo. Milo was her dog, a street dog she had rescued from the neighborhood, a mixed breed with no papers, no training record, no certification from any organization anywhere. But once, on a vacation, Milo had found a lost child. Just found him, wandered off, and came back with this kid in tow. The neighbors had started calling him the little dog that saved the children. Coromoto saw a post on her WhatsApp status. They were asking for rescue dogs, animals who might be able to help. She looked at Milo, she thought about that child, and she decided to go. If you have not subscribed yet, do it now. The story of what Milo did next is unlike anything you have ever heard, and we have rescue stories every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that you do not want to miss. When Coromoto arrived at the rescue site with Milo, she recorded it on her phone. She introduced the dog to the emergency teams. They looked at this unremarkable mixed breed from the street, and they gave him a test, an aptitude evaluation, the kind that trained rescue dogs take to prove they can handle the chaos of a disaster zone. Milo passed. She passed the little test they gave her. She was accepted, Coromoto said. The rescuers put him to work. In his first shift, Milo worked nearly 6 consecutive hours in the rubble of Caracas, climbing over broken concrete, squeezing through gaps, following his nose through devastation that would have overwhelmed most animals. He found 3 survivors.
3 people, pulled from the wreckage, still breathing, because a street dog from the La Candelaria neighborhood showed up and refused to stop working. The professional rescuers, the ones with the trained dogs and the years of experience, were stunned. Even they had not expected this. At the end of the shift, Milo was exhausted, but as Coromoto walked him back through the rubble, through the ruins of the places he had searched, his tail kept wagging, as if the work itself had lit something in him, as if this was what he had always been for, and he had just never been given the chance. One rescuer watching said, "It is a sign that hope, that God gives us hope, sometimes just with a light, with an animal, a pet, a person." They asked Coromoto to let Milo rest. They would need him again. There were 137 trained dogs working in Venezuela in the days after the earthquake. Dogs with credentials and handlers and years of drills behind them. Dogs that had been prepared for exactly this. Among them was Tsunami, a mixed-breed border collie with one brown eye and one blue, navigating the rubble on what he knew was his final mission. He was retiring. This was his last assignment, the last thing he would do after years of service. And in those final days, Tsunami located 25 survivors. 25 people who might have died in silence beneath the concrete, found because a dog with heterochromia and a heart full of training refused to stop working until it was over. There was Bart, the Belgian Malinois from Argentina, who helped pull 2 children alive from the debris. There was Rambo from El Salvador, who was trained to bark the moment he caught the scent of a living person, a bark that meant dig here, dig now, there is someone alive. There was Munk, an 8-year-old border collie whose name means morning star in the Mayan language, who discovered a white Maltese still breathing beneath a collapsed wall, and led searches that recovered 6 bodies. 137 trained dogs, teams from more than 20 nations, 2,600 international rescuers, working in shifts, working through the heat of Venezuelan summer, working because somewhere in those ruins, people were still waiting. And in the middle of it all, Milo, a street dog from Caracas, untrained, unremarkable by the standards of every organization that sends dogs into disaster zones. And yet he was there, working beside the certified animals, finding survivors they had not yet reached, tail wagging at the end of a 6-hour shift in the ruins.
Trained by life, Coromoto said, because he has not received any type of training. There is something about this story that goes beyond Milo, as extraordinary as Milo is. It is the fact that Coromoto, a woman who sells avocados and bananas and eggs in a neighborhood market, saw a WhatsApp message and thought, I have something to offer. Not expertise, not credentials, just her dog and her knowledge of what that dog had once done, and the instinct that maybe it mattered. She did not wait to be invited. She did not wonder whether she was qualified. She saw a need and she showed up. And the emergency teams, to their credit, gave Milo his chance. They tested him and they accepted him, and they put him to work alongside dogs that had spent years training for exactly this moment. And he held his own. The earthquake that struck Venezuela on June 24, 2026, killed more than 2,000 people. It injured more than 11,000. Tens of thousands were displaced. NASA reported that nearly 59,000 buildings were damaged or destroyed. The scale of it is difficult to hold in your mind. But in the middle of that scale, a specific moment, a fruit seller who loved her street dog, a WhatsApp message, a decision to show up, 3 survivors who are alive today because of what followed. The world is not only saved by experts. Sometimes it is saved by people who refuse to believe that their love for an animal amounts to nothing. Somewhere in Caracas right now, Milo is resting, his tail probably still going, Coromoto probably nearby, watching him the way she has always watched him, with the knowledge of what he is capable of, even when no one else could see it yet. And in a disaster zone where more than 100 trained dogs worked to find the living in the rubble, it was a street dog with no certification and no handler and no record who surprised them all. Not because he was the best trained, not because he had the best nose, but because his owner believed in him enough to walk into that rescue site and say, try him. That is what this channel is about. The animals no one expected anything from. The rescues no one planned for. The moments when love and instinct and one person's decision to show up rewrite what was supposed to happen. Subscribe right now if you want more of these stories. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, animals who were not supposed to make it and the people who refused to accept that. Hit the bell so you never miss one, and share this one because Milo deserves to be known. He earned it, 6 hours at a time, in the rubble of Caracas, with nothing but instinct and a wagging tail.